Hello everyone and welcome all to the first video on this YouTube channel with Read with Maria XOXO. If you're new here, I would like for you to subscribe, especially if you like everything about books. I like fantasy, romance and romantasy and reading. I will try to make a lot of vlogs. I like yapping about books a lot, so if you're here for special editions and yapping about books, then you're on the right page. And today we will be going through 16 books which I have read in March. I really think the month was really good. If you don't have, you don't take it. My drink of a choice is coffee latte I did for myself. Stop the video if you need, take a drink of your choice and let's talk about it. Out of 16 books I've read this month, there were not a single one of DNF. I consider March one of my best months this year. January was very chaotic, February too. I have some shorts on my TikTok you can watch, but the March one we will go through and discuss. The first book which I have started in February but finished in March was The Charlie's Methods by Ellie Kennedy. It's one of the most popular romances probably of March, which everybody was reading and me not excluded. It's MFM hockey college romance about Charlie, a girl who is in the uni, decides to go on something like Tinder app and talk with two random guys. She doesn't know who they are. There is lots of self-exploitation. There is lots of like, who am I? And she was adopted. Book is longer than you expect. It almost is 600 pages, but at the same time there is also inside plots. For example, this specific book, why it was so good for me in March, there was a story of one of the side characters who wrote a fan fiction about historical fan fiction, and it was the highlight of the whole book. I have never read a story inside of the story. There are specific chapters dedicated to this fan fiction and I loved it a lot. It was one of the most funniest things I've read in a long while. I have laughed with my whole heart and I wholeheartedly can only recommend Charlie Method for the parts of the fanfiction. Maybe Ellie Kennedy will post it one day, just a fanfiction alone, because it was really freaking good. However, the book about Charlie was also really good. The romance part was good. It was spicy enough. I have put it 4.5 stars, a little half for like a little bit dragging down, and it was too long for 600 pages, but in general it was a really good hooky romance. The second book I've read this month was The Venom We Bleed. It was an ER given for me. Thank you, author agency, for providing me with a copy of this book. OMG, how I loved it. It's a dark white shoes. Juliet, prep girl, had it all till her father lost everything in one day. She is now not a rich girl anymore and needs to go to public school with all the people whom her father has brought down and took all the money from people of the city. And they all, of course, hate her because the family are miserable. They all don't have money and it's a public school and she's from this rich neighborhood around. Of course, everybody hates her, but she's a fighter and she knows she will go out of this deal with not being broken. However, the first day of public school, she meets these 4 guys. They're called the Scorpion Kids. It's Gio, Lex, and Nolan. They run the school, they have their own problems, and they don't want her there. Say something's happened, I don't want to spoiler here, and everything is changed. Even though the whole plot is happening in the high school, I felt that they were more mature, there was more grown-up thinking going on, and sometimes you think, oh my god, the heroine is like 8-year-old, but this was not the case. It was becoming more intense. It was not just typical high school drama. I loved the found family by the end of this book, and I think this is a series, so it will continue. Who I liked the most was Lex, and this car scene. I really want to read the next book ASAP, and I will be following the journey of this author further. The next duology was Of Moons and Monsters and Of Dreams and Demons. It's an unfinished, sadly, duology as of now, but I think it was created as trilogy. If Willow Hadley ever sees this video and wants to give me arc of this third book, I'm here. I loved it. It was super spicy. It was super nice. I love the whole cozyverse of this universe. So please, I hope you really finish the series because I loved it a lot. The story is about an Isla. She's a human in paranormal society. She has her best friend and they go for a party. She's a fated mate of some specific person. Much going on. She gets kidnapped. It was so good. It was so spicy. It was so cozy. It was great. It was the 4.5 stars grade. There are so few cozyverse and sometimes you just need something cozy for yourself. It was perfect. The next series of 4 was Mortal Gods series by Lucinda Dark or Lucy Smoke, the same author who has written The Venom We Bleed. I liked the book so much. I liked the writing so much. I went and watched what the author else has, and she is writing under 2 names, one in the fantasy, one in the romance. I switched to fantasy, and this was the series I have chosen. And I'm obsessed. I probably will read all the books the author has written because the write style, the way how she captions the people, the way how everything is going on is so amazing. You think that's where it's going, and hoba, it's not going this way, and then hop, and you're like approximately different universe, and there were lots of cliffhangers. The series is called Mortal Gods. It consists of 4 books. They are all available on Kindle Unlimited, where I have read them. This is Greek mythology. Why choose romantasy? Very dark, very dark. If you think like dark, this is very dark. I first thought it's not that dark, but it was darker the further we were going. The romance is building not in the first book, not in the second, and not in the third. It's building in the 4th book. It was a very long hate to lovers, slow burn, dark fantasy romance, and I loved it. I would probably rate the whole series with a 4 stars. However, if you don't like that it is burning so slow that everything will happen in the last book and you will hate the characters, so I do not then recommend starting this series. A series about a girl who is undocumented godchild. She is indebted to Underworld Assassination Guild. She lives always in the shadows. She is assessing. One of her tasks is to go to Mortal Gods Academy. It's not like she's become a student. Nothing like that. She becomes a mate to the other most harshest, most powerful mortal gods in this academy. If you think they're dark, they're the most darkest dark fantasy characters I have read probably from the beginning of this year. I was jaw-dropping how dark it could get in this series. By the way, so she's getting in this academy and nobody tells her what her task is. She's just living there and wait until the task will be announced, but nothing happens in book 1, nothing happens in book 2, nothing happens in book 3, and you're wondering, what are we doing here? Everything erupts in book 4 magically. I loved it. I have waited for it, but oh my god, it was long. I would probably, if you like Greek mythology, dark romance, if you like Why Choose, if you like academies, if you like god powers and a lot of Greek mythology legends, then this is the series for you. You should definitely put in your TBR and let me know if you have read it. What do you think of it? I have read a very short novella she has of 86 pages, Story Break. It was just spice. If you like spice, this is what you get. The next series, which I read March, was a journey for me of Lucinda Dark's. I've read several of her series this month, and the 3rd series is called Barbie the Vampire Hunter. It's trilogy, finished one, paranormal fantasy, I choose urban fantasy, and a lot of romance in it. Also some legends and a lot of vampires. How can you imagine a Barbie girl in the vampire world? That was a combo for me, and the cover is all pink with black, and I was like, I need it. I love everything pink. I like everything vampires. It's everything what I need to read. And currently I've read 2 out of 3 books in this series. I will probably finish the 3rd one this month, but so far I can already understand what was going on. It slowly started to push down by the end of book 2. That's why I have not read the book 3, but book 1 and 2 were amazing, and this is what I can say about them. The story has started super interesting and I couldn't put it down at all. If you love Vampire Diaries, this is the book which you would want to read because it has all the same vibes of a girl, there are 2 guys, they are not brothers. But Barbie loses her family and moves to her godparents. She never saw this godparent family, but the godparent family has a son. And no, there are humans. Barbie goes, of course, to school, and this god family is rich, so she goes to a very rich school, and there everything changes. I loved both characters. Maverick, who was the son of these parents, and Turing, who is, yes, a vampire, whom she met in this school, and they were before best friends, but not anymore, and everything started to get tensions, and we are very long watching the story of behind between these 2 guys. Barbie is the vampire hunter. Her whole family was killed by the vampires, and she's now hunting and wants to hunt somebody who killed her family. It's a pretty good paranormal urban story if you want to read one. The next book I have read this month was A Deadly Education, or the first book in the series Solomon's, the first book in the series of, I have rated it with 3.5. You are approaching the story, you're jumping in it, and you know nothing. You don't know anything, but already everything happens. We are in the brain of the main character. It was so chaotic. The first 100 pages pages, you have no idea what's going on. You're already getting a lot of world building. The whole academy is built in a circle, and how the floors are moving, and how the grades in this academy are moving, and everything that she's alone and she has very dangerous powers. Where is explanation? Who are you as a character? Who are your friends? What's going on? What's about your family? We don't know anything, but we are just talking and talking and talking about the whole world building, and it builds, and you're just like at some moment not understanding at all. I also didn't like the MMC in this world called Orion, and he was a typical hero where he will break the day, break a leg, but save everybody. He was saving everybody on every single second page, and it was annoying. So he was replenishing his powers by saving somebody, by killing the monsters, etc. He didn't say probably even more than 4 phrases in the whole book. We are always hearing how he saved somebody, but we have no idea who he is. He didn't say anything. So how can you like a book or a character or even build a romance in there if we don't know what is he saying? We only know of him, but not what he's saying. As for the main character, I think she was too indulgent in her inner thoughts, and she's a loner. So in the beginning, it's probably even understandable, but this all much of world building inside of her brain, that was a killer for me. Like, will I reach the next books? It's a finished trilogy, which is there for ages. I will probably try in the not, but the whole magic of this story, how the floors are moving, that each year the next floor is moving and there are monsters and everybody has power, and a lot of powers are coming from languages. So if you read Bubble, then it's a perfect book for you, and probably in a way of even how it's reaching up, it's a perfect book for you. But I sadly GNF Bubble, I don't like all this complexity, all this dragging, and this book was almost in the same way, even though it's shorter than Bubble. I'll probably try the second, but it was definitely not one of the most interesting books I have read in a long time. The last series I have read in March was the Psycho Academy series from the Psycho Shifters by Jasmine, and as Jasmine was my top 1 read of last year with her Blood of Hercules, and I have already read the Sadie story last year. I decided it's worthwhile my time to finish the Aaron story, Best Friend. It consists of 3 books. It's finished. It's on Kindle Unlimited, and it was so brutal. I have not expected this story to be so dark, but it's definitely darker than the Sadie story, and everything is going on in 3 books. They're pretty long, probably 450 pages each, and the plot is developing towards the end. Again, we are reading a lot of things which are happening and we don't know why or what, and the whole explosion of the details happens in the last book, and you don't know anything till the last pages. I probably liked book 1 and 2, but I was sadly disappointed with book 3. Why? In book 3, everything comes to one big event. This event is so big that it doesn't help me build the whole characters. We see the Aaron story, and Aaron develops in every book, and she's better. She's becoming a queen. Does she want to be a queen? Do we understand her powers, where they come from? However, all the side characters on the male characters were not built enough for me, and they were bullying Aaron for 2 books, and in book 3, everything is forgiven in, I don't know, 100 pages. No, therefore the whole rating of the book has gone down for me, 4.5 stars for the whole series to 4.0. It was good. I like Aaron as a character. I like that there was a lot of Aaron and Sadie moments in book 3. However, this forgiving in book 3, I was not there for that. I am so not a fan of such trope, and it recently happens more often than I think. If you really like this video, I am planning several vlogs, books, yapping videos for this month. If you're not yet subscribed, I would love if you subscribe this channel, and see you guys in the next video.